The girl stood in the center of the glass-walled garden room while rain beat the roof like drums. Her name was Lily Blake, 8 years old, chestnut hair cut in a straight bob, pale blue sweater with tiny clouds, gray leggings, bare feet on warm tiles. She stared forward with those still, gray eyes, the eyes everyone said saw nothing. A storm flashed, white and sudden, and the new maid, Jenna Hart, watched something impossible. Lily blinked before the thunder came. Jenna's heart thudded. The girl did not turn her head, did not move her hands, but her lashes had jumped. Another flash. Another tiny flinch. The lawyer, the nurses, the father. Everyone in this mansion believed Lily was born blind. This moment said they were wrong. Jenna took a quiet breath and slid her hand toward the wall dimmer. She turned it a hair. Lily's pupils tightened. Jenna's fingers stopped, her mind screaming. If Lily could sense light, who had hidden it, and why? Subscribe to this channel to support our growth. Thank you for being here. Tell me where you're watching from in the comments so I can shout you out in the next episode. Quick, if you had to prove a secret in a rich man's house, would you sneak a test or call the police first? The house did not feel like a home. It was a cold, grand museum that smelled like lemon polish and old grief. The owner, Ethan Blake, made money that moved the city, hotels, ports, planes, but moved through his own halls like a shadow. People snapped to attention when he entered a room. He never shouted. He didn't need to. A single look from him felt like a locked door. 6 nannies had come and gone. 2 private nurses. 1 live-in therapist. They all said the same thing and left with heavy eyes. "I'm sorry. There's nothing more we can do." On Jenna's first morning, the head housekeeper, Mrs. Green, a careful woman with white hair pinned tight, handed her a thin binder. "Follow every note," she said. "No changes. No experiments. The doctor will review any idea you have." Jenna smiled, said she understood, and held the binder like it might bite. She had not come to play doctor. She had come because she needed a job, needed a place where her hands could stay busy so her mind wouldn't replay that last trip to the hospital. She still wore a silver ring on a chain under her shirt. She still traced it when the house grew too quiet. Jenna learned the rhythms of the mansion fast. Breakfast was silent. Lids lifted from silver platters, steam rose, but no one said good morning. Lily ate small bites, oatmeal, soft fruit, guided by a nurse named Carol who counted softly so Lily knew where the spoon was. After breakfast, therapy time. After therapy, music. After music, rest in the dim sunroom where curtains were always half drawn, so Lily won't be overstimulated. Everyone spoke around Lily, never to her, as if sound itself might break the child. Jenna did as told. But she watched. On day 2 she noticed the same thing 3 times. When a tray lid opened and sunlight flashed on polished metal, Lily's mouth made an O shape and closed again. When a nurse's phone lit up by mistake in the hall, Lily's head tilted a hair, like a bird hearing a far bell. When Jenna opened the sunroom curtains 1 inch to dust the rail, Lily's fingers curled tightly then relaxed. None of it was big. All of it was something. It was the 4th morning when Jenna decided to test what her eyes and heart were shouting. She waited until Carol stepped out to take a call and Mrs. Green went to sign for a delivery. Rain tapped the roof and stopped. A pale stripe of weak sun fell across the tile near Lily's feet. Jenna stood still for a count of 3, then moved to the wall and set her thumb on the dimmer. This, she told herself, is not a crime. This is light. "Lily," she said, making her voice calm, "I'm going to open the room a little. Tell me if anything feels different." Lily did not turn toward the sound. She rarely did. But Jenna saw a small change in her breathing, almost like a held note. She turned the dimmer 1 notch. The air felt brighter. Lily's throat bobbed. Jenna stared at those gray eyes and saw the pupils answer, tiny but real. She turned the dimmer a 2nd notch. Lily's chin lifted just a breath. "Do you feel anything?" Jenna whispered. "Warmth? A change?" Lily's lips parted, and for the first time since Jenna had come, the little girl made a soft sound. It wasn't a word. It was more like surprise given a small voice. The door latch clicked. Jenna snapped her hand from the dimmer, dragged the curtain shut, and stepped back with a rag in her fingers as if she had been dusting. Carol came in with a clipboard. "Time for tactile cards," she said. She gave Jenna a cool look that said, "Don't do more than your job." Jenna smiled, eyes steady, but her mind raced. She wanted to grab the nurse's sleeve and say, "She can see light." She did not. Not yet. Not until she had something no one could brush away with. "You're new. You don't understand." Over the next days, Jenna threaded small tests into ordinary moments. She swapped the gray blanket for a white one during rest time and watched Lily's eyes tighten when sunlight hit the bed. She pushed a plant pot gently across the floor until it passed through a sunbeam. As the shadow touched Lily's toes, the girl flexed her foot, and Jenna almost cried. It was like watching a tiny door open in a wall that had always been solid. She brought a yellow ball, soft, quiet, and let it sit where the light fell. Lily's fingers opened on her lap, closed, opened again like they were listening. "Do you like this spot?" Jenna asked casual. No answer. But the child's head leaned, not toward the sound, not toward Jenna, but toward the patch of sun. That night, lying on her narrow bed in the small room behind the laundry, Jenna pressed the silver ring to her lips. "If you were here," she whispered into her pillow, "you would tell me to follow the truth no matter who hates it." On the 6th day, Ethan Blake came home early. The staff shifted like wind-blown grass. Some people smiled too much. Some people stopped smiling at all. He carried a black umbrella like a blade. He paused at the sunroom door and watched without speaking. Lily sat on the floor with a basket of textured blocks, rough, smooth, ribboned velvet. Carol guided her hand to each piece. "This one is bumpy," the nurse said. "This one is soft." Lily nodded sometimes, did not nod other times. Her face had the still sadness of someone who is always second late to the world. Ethan's eyes never left his daughter. Jenna studied him when she felt safe to look. He was in his early 40s, dark hair, tired jaw, a navy suit that fit like it was sewn on his bones. People said he used to smile before his wife died. People said a lot of things. Jenna believed what she saw, a man held together by duty and fear. "Mr. Blake," Carol said, noticing him, "we're working on textures." She did very well with the rough card. Ethan nodded once. His gaze slid to Jenna, weighing her. "You're the new maid," he said without warmth, not unkind, just distant. "Yes, sir," Jenna said, standing straighter. "Jenna Hart." He turned back to the child. "Lily," he said softly, and his voice changed, quiet, careful, almost gentle. "It's Dad." Lily did not look up. He did not expect her to. He touched her hair like it might break. "Good work," he told Carol. Then he left the room with the umbrella still dripping, and a long wet stain followed him down the hall. That night, after dishes and floors and the last tiny sock folded into its pair, Jenna sat in the laundry room and opened the binder Mrs. Green had given her. Under lighting, a page in bold letters read, "Keep all rooms shaded. Avoid sudden brightness. Overstimulation causes distress." There was a doctor's name at the bottom, Dr. Collins. A note added by hand, "No experiments. Follow protocol." Jenna closed the binder and stared at the old washing machine while it chugged. The house did not want change. The house wanted quiet. But quiet had trapped a little girl in gray for 8 years. The next morning, Jenna tried something new. She knelt on the floor in the sunroom with a small craft she had made from office supplies, a cardboard tube wrapped in foil, one end capped with clear plastic punched with tiny holes. It made a gentle star pattern when light passed through. She did not point it at Lily. She set it on the floor, away from the child, where the sunbeam would hit it. The light scattered in faint dots across the tile. "Pretty," Jenna whispered to no one. Lily's breathing changed, barely, but Jenna heard it. The girl's head lifted a hair. "Oh," Jenna said, as if she had just remembered a chore. She stood and went to the shelf and forgot the toy on the floor where the star dots trembled. While Carol checked messages at the door, Lily's open hand slid along the tile, slow as a tide. Jenna held her breath. The little fingers stopped where one dot warmed the floor. They trembled. Then, so small Jenna might have imagined it, Lily smiled a step in the hall. The head housekeeper's shadow fell across the threshold. Mrs. Green pointed her chin at the foil tube. "What's that?" she asked, polite but tight. "A dust catcher," Jenna said, the lie clumsy. "It's nothing." Mrs. Green's eyes lingered on the sunlit patch. She walked to the wall and without a word turned the dimmer down. The room sank into soft gray. The star dots died. Lily's hand went still. "Follow the binder," Mrs. Green said. She did not look angry. She looked afraid. Jenna watched her leave and felt something that wasn't fear. It was resolve. Jenna needed proof no one could deny. She needed to catch Lily's reaction to light on video, but phones were not allowed near the child during therapy hours. Cameras watched the halls, not the rooms, for privacy. She could ask for a meeting with Dr. Collins, but she could already hear the answer. "I appreciate your passion, Ms. Hart, but you are not trained. You are seeing what you want to see." She could go directly to Ethan Blake and risk being fired that hour. Or she could wait and risk another year of darkness for Lily. She remembered a line her mother used to say while fixing a torn dress by lamplight. If you can't open the big door, try the small window. The small window arrived on a Sunday afternoon when most staff were off and the house was quiet as a library. A warm breeze moved the sheer curtains. Lily sat on the rug, face up, calm. Carol had stepped out to take a delivery at the gate. 5 minutes, she said. Do not change anything. Jenna nodded, then looked at the sunbeam crawling across the floor. She reached into her apron and took out a small clip-on light meant for reading. She had bought it the night before at a 24-hour store and hidden it in the laundry basket. It was soft, dimmable, and shaped like a flower. She had tested it on her own eyes in a dark room. It did not hurt. Jenna clipped it to the edge of a low table and pointed it not at Lily's face but at the white wall beside her, a full arm's length away. She took a breath. Hi Lily, she said, calm, friendly. I found a silly flower light. I'm going to turn it on way over here so the wall looks a little bright. You don't have to do anything. She pressed the button. A soft pool bloomed on the wall. Lily's eyelids fluttered like a small bird ready to fly. Do you feel anything? Jenna asked. Warm? Cool? No answer. She raised the light a fraction. The glow slid higher on the wall. Lily's head lifted, tiny but clear, following the light. Jenna shook, joy running up her arms. She lowered the light. Lily's chin dipped. Jenna raised it again. Lily followed. You see it? Jenna whispered, tears starting without permission. Sweet girl, you see it. The doorknob turned. Jenna snapped off the light so fast it stung her finger. Carol walked in with a plastic bag and a firm mouth. She looked at Jenna's hands, at the wall, at the table. What are you doing? She asked, calm in a way that felt like ice. Nothing, Jenna said too quickly. We were. Carol's eyes shifted to Lily. The child's face was more alive than usual, lips parted, cheeks flushed. No experiments, Carol said. I told you that. Jenna wanted to shout. She followed the light. She did not. She closed her hands to hide the small lamp, breathed slow, and when Carol turned to put the plastic bag in the cupboard, Jenna slid the clip light into the pocket of her apron. That night, sleep did not come. Jenna sat by her window and watched planes blink above the bay. She remembered a hospital room 5 years ago. A tiny hand, a small face, a beep losing speed. The doctor's voice, I'm sorry. Grief had taught Jenna one thing with a hard hand. Silence helps lies grow. In the morning she asked Mrs. Green for time with Dr. Collins. He's booked, the housekeeper said. Next week. Jenna nodded and said thank you. Then she went to the kitchen where the security monitor sat on the wall showing the front gate, the garage, the pool. Mr. Hayes, she said to the butler, a thin man who liked crossword puzzles and late afternoon tea. Do any of the rooms have cameras for safety? He didn't look up from his grid. No cameras in care rooms, he said. Privacy policy. He wrote 4 letters. Why? Jenna smiled. No reason. The answer was a wall. So Jenna found another window. She borrowed one of the house's digital voice recorders used for grocery lists and staff notes. She planned to talk through her steps during a short test so the words would hold the moment even if no one saw it. If she could get Lily to track the light while a recorder captured the time, Carol's presence, the position of the lamp, the exact words, it might be enough to earn a real test with Dr. Collins. I am here with Lily, she would say into the mic. The light is aimed at the wall. I am turning it 1 notch brighter. Lily is lifting her chin. It wasn't perfect, but it was more than a story. On Tuesday afternoon, rain came hard again. The room was gray and steady. Carol had to take a call about her mother's appointment and asked Jenna to stay with Lily, only to supervise. Jenna stood near the table, hands steady for once. She placed the recorder in her pocket, pressed the small red button, and felt it vibrate twice. Then she clipped the flower lamp to the same table edge as before and aimed it at the same white patch of wall. Lily, she said softly, keeping her voice low and warm, I'm going to turn the wall light on just a little. You are safe. She clicked the lamp to its dimmest glow. The chalk-white wall picked up a soft halo. Lily's eyelids moved. Turning up 1 notch, Jenna said, nearly breathless. Lily's chin is rising. She turned it again. Another notch. Lily is following the glow with her eyes, not her head. Pupils are. Her voice broke. Pupils are changing. Footsteps. Not Carol. Heavier. Slower. Jenna turned, heart in her throat. Ethan Blake stood in the doorway in a dark sweater, no umbrella this time, rain on his hair like clear dust. He looked from the lamp to the girl to Jenna's hands. The air in the room went tight. What is this? He asked, quiet and dangerous, like someone asking a lion why it has teeth. Jenna swallowed. She could tell him the truth and be fired. She could lie and be small. She lifted her chin. "Sir," she said, and her voice surprised her by not shaking. "I think Lily can sense light. I've seen it more than once. I've been careful. I never aim at her eyes." "Turn it off," he said. Not a shout. A command from a deep well. Jenna, hands shaking now, pressed the lamp button. The wall went dull. Lily's face fell back into that gray stillness. Ethan stepped into the room as if the floor might crack. He knelt in front of his daughter, close enough to count her lashes. "Lily," he said, voice barely there. Do you feel different?" The girl did not answer. He closed his eyes. The kind of breath he drew was the kind that hurts. He stood and faced Jenna. The part of his face that belonged to company meetings was back in place. "You will not touch lights again," he said. "You will not conduct tests. Dr. Collins will decide. If you disagree, you may leave now." Jenna opened her mouth, closed it, nodded. He turned to go. Her chest burned. "Sir," she said, and the word stabbed her throat. He stopped. "Please," she said. "Watch once. Give me 10 seconds. If I'm wrong, I'll pack my bag today." He looked at Lily, at the wall, at Jenna. 1,000 choices moved behind his eyes. He shook his head once, no, and left without another word. The door clicked. The rain grew louder, as if the sky had opinions. That Jenna's hands shook so hard she had to grip the table to keep from falling. She switched off the recorder and stuffed it deep in her apron. She turned the lamp sideways so it looked like nothing. She sat on the rug beside Lily and felt the hot sting of tears she refused to let drop. "I'm not giving up," she whispered to the girl. "I promise." That night, while the house slept, a low hum woke Jenna. She sat up, listened. The hum wasn't in the hall. It was in the back rooms where supplies were kept. She slipped into sneakers, grabbed a cardigan, and stepped into the dark. The hum grew louder near the small medication fridge tucked behind the nurse's station. A storm flashed through white light across the hall. Jenna saw something she had never noticed. The fridge door wasn't closed all the way. Cold air bled out. She reached to push it shut, then stopped. Inside, marked with labels and careful notes, sat rows of eye drops, vitamins, and small brown bottles. Most had Lily's name on them. Jenna frowned at one label she had not seen in the binder. A trop. She didn't finish reading because a floorboard sighed behind her. "Why are you here?" Carol's voice slipped through the dark like a knife wrapped in silk. The nurse stood in the doorway, hair in a tight bun, phone face down in her hand. Jenna stepped back from the fridge. "The door was open," she said. You thought you should snoop," Carol said, stepping between Jenna and the fridge and closing it with a soft push. "That's not your job." Her smile did not reach her eyes. "Your job is laundry and floors and making sure the rooms stay as calm as the doctor orders." She tilted her head. "Understood." Jenna nodded, throat dry. Carol's smile sharpened. "Good. Go back to bed." In her small room, Jenna sat on the edge of the mattress and stared at the dark. The word on the label turned over in her head like a slow coin. Atropine? She wasn't a nurse, but some words stick. Her mother had used it at the eye clinic years ago. "It widens pupils," her mother had told her once, tapping a little brown bottle. "We use it to help with exams. It makes bright light uncomfortable for a while." Jenna swung her feet to the floor, heart hammering. Why would Lily need that every day? The binder said nothing about it. She pressed her palms to her eyes. "Don't jump," she told herself. "Don't make wild stories." But another memory pushed in. Lily flinching at bright metal, at phone screens, at the tiny flower lamp's glow. Her pupils had tightened and widened like they knew what they were doing. If someone was giving Lily a drop that forced her eyes to stay wide, the world would feel like knives. Bright would hurt. Shadows would feel safe. No wonder every rule said keep it dim. Morning came hard and gray. Jenna went to work early, moved quiet, watched everything. She saw Carol take a small brown bottle from the fridge and put it in her pocket while humming. She saw Mrs. Green sign a form on a clipboard without reading it. She saw Ethan leave in a black car with rain on the hood. Then, when the house folded into its late morning hush, Jenna stood outside the sunroom door and heard Lily's soft voice for the first time, a barely there thread. "Warm," the child whispered. Jenna froze. Who was she talking to? She stepped in. Carol stood by the window with the curtain drawn halfway. She turned when she heard Jenna. "We're done," she said. "Take Lily to the playroom." Jenna knelt, held out her hand. "Hi, Lily," she said. "It's Jenna." The girl's fingers found hers. They were small and cool and trusting. Jenna helped her stand. As they walked down the hall, Lily spoke again, a whisper that felt like a gift placed in Jenna's palm. "Flower," she said. Jenna stopped walking. "What, honey?" Lily's face tilted up a little. Flower, she repeated, the word soft and shaky but clear. Jenna's eyes flooded. She swallowed a sob and smiled so hard it hurt. Yes, she said. A small flower. In the playroom, sunlight slid across a box of blocks. Jenna let go of Lily's hand and watched the child lift her chin toward the warm square on the rug. You're brave, Jenna whispered. I'm going to be brave too. She spent the next hour planning a test no one could argue with. She would wait until the evening when Ethan came home. She would ask him for 10 seconds again, not with words but with proof. She would show him Lily following a light on the wall while the recorder captured time and place. She would aim the lamp through a shade so it was soft as breath. She would have Mrs. Green there so the house could not say it didn't happen. She would make the truth too simple to ignore. Evening came like a curtain. The city lights turned the bay into glitter. Staff moved like quiet fish. Ethan returned in a dark coat, face unreadable. Jenna asked Mrs. Green if she could show Mr. Blake something small. Nothing that disturbs the child, the housekeeper warned, but agreed to bring him to the sunroom at 7. Jenna set the room as safe as a cradle. Curtains half open, no bright bursts, the little flower lamp aimed at the far wall through a white scarf to soften it. She slipped the recorder into her pocket and pressed the red button. It vibrated twice. She placed Lily on the rug with her back to the wall. 10 seconds, she whispered to the girl. You don't have to do anything you don't want. She kissed the child's hair without touching skin. The door opened. Ethan and Mrs. Green stepped in together. Carol followed, arms crossed. The room felt small. Jenna stood by the table, hands open. Please, she said to Ethan. Watch the wall. If nothing happens, I will never ask again. He looked like a man walking into fire. He nodded once. Jenna lifted her finger to the lamp. Turning on the wall light, she said, voice shaking. She clicked the button. The scarf glowed. The white patch on the wall bloomed. Lily's eyelids fluttered. Turning one notch brighter, Jenna said, tears already hot. Lily lifted her chin. Turning another notch, Jenna whispered. Lily's gray eyes moved left, following the soft bloom like it was a slow, kind moon. Ethan took one step forward. Mrs. Green's hand flew to her mouth. Carol's face went sharp and pale. Jenna could not breathe. She clicked the lamp one more notch. The light slid right. Lily's face turned toward it, not with her head alone, but with eyes that were awake. A small, fierce sound came out of Ethan, the kind a man makes when he has held a mountain for years and it finally rolls off his shoulders. He sank to his knees. Lily, he said, voice broken. Lily, can you see the bright? The child did not answer with words. She reached her hand toward the soft patch on the wall and smiled, not big, not wide, but real. Enough, Carol snapped suddenly, stepping forward like a striking bird. She grabbed the scarf off the lamp and the light hit the wall full. Lily flinched hard, hands flying to her face. Ethan shouted, stop. Too late. Jenna lunged and slammed the lamp off. The room fell into safe gray again. Lily whimpered. Jenna held her, gentle as a prayer. Ethan stood, anger like heat around him. What did you do? He demanded at Carol. What is wrong with you? Carol lifted her chin. I am protecting the child, she said flatly. You are letting an untrained maid perform unsafe experiments. Jenna reached into her pocket with shaking fingers and pulled out the small recorder. I recorded the steps, she said, heart pounding. Time. Words. Positions. She followed the light before the scarf came off. It's all here. Ethan's eyes jumped to the device. He took it like he was holding a bomb and stared at it like it might tell him everything. Mrs. Green whispered, Dear God. Lily's breath slowed. Silence pulled the room tight again. Then, somewhere in the house, a second sound cut through the quiet, a tiny, steady beep Jenna had never heard before. A red light blinked above the nurse's station door. Carol's face drained to chalk. Jenna looked from the red light to Carol's pocket where the brown bottle from the fridge had been earlier. The head housekeeper looked at the same place. Ethan followed their eyes, the slow understanding changing his face from shock to something darker. What is that alarm? He asked, voice low and lethal. Thins carried back like smoke. Jenna closed her eyes and pressed her forehead to Lily's hair. She did not hear what they found. She did not see Carol's hands shake. She did not see Ethan lift a small brown bottle and read a label out loud in a voice that trembled. She did not see Mrs. Green make the sign she only made at funerals. She only felt the child breathe and kept her own breath slow so Lily would know she was not alone. Then Ethan's voice came from the hall, loud and clear, and it carried a word that made Jenna's blood run cold. Atropine, he said. Daily. Who authorized this? Before anyone could answer, the house went black. The storm outside swallowed the last light. The beeping died with a soft click. In the pitch-dark room, Jenna felt Lily's small fingers clutch her sleeve. Somewhere in the darkness, a phone screen lit a pale blue rectangle, and a pair of quiet feet ran. The storm swallowed the last light. The room went black, deep and heavy. Lily's small fingers clutched Jenna's sleeve. Jenna's first instinct was to move toward the sound in the hallway. Her second instinct was louder: stay with the child. She crouched, wrapped one arm around Lily's shoulders, and spoke in a calm voice that she did not feel. "You're safe, honey. I'm here. I won't leave you." In the dark, shoes slapped tile in a short, sharp burst. Someone running the way a person runs when they are not thinking, only fleeing. Farther down the corridor, a door banged. From the nurse's station came Ethan's voice, firm and cutting through the storm. "Stay where you are." Another voice answered, Mrs. Green, low and shaken. Glass clinked. A drawer slid open. The tiny beeping that had filled the air died with the power. Silence moved in. Jenna shifted her weight and let her body be a wall between Lily and the door. Her free hand felt along the table, found the little flower lamp, and remembered it would not help without power. She breathed slow so the girl could match her rhythm. "Let's count," she whispered into Lily's hair. 1, 3, Lily's grip eased a little. The small sound of her breathing steadied. Down the hall, a lighter click scraped and flared. For a second, a dull orange glow lit the doorway and showed Ethan's outline, tall, shoulders set, jaw tight. A moment later, a flashlight snapped on from the emergency kit by the pantry. The beam cut a pale path across the floor, bright enough to find feet, soft enough not to stab eyes. Ethan stepped into the sunroom with the beam angled toward the ceiling so it bounced gentle. "Jenna," he said, voice low. "Are you and Lily okay?" "We're okay," Jenna said, and heard her voice shake only a little. "She's scared. I'm keeping the light away from her face." "Good," he said. He moved the beam in a slow circle and crouched near them. In the soft reflection off the ceiling, Jenna saw his face for what felt like the first time since the test. A face stripped of meetings and metal edges, a father's face. He reached out, stopped inches from Lily's small shoulder, and let his hand hover there like a promise. "I'm here, Lily," he said. "It's Dad." Light bobbed in the doorway again. Mrs. Green stepped in, holding a second flashlight by its barrel so most of the glow slid across the floor. Her lips were pressed thin. "Mr. Blake," she said, "the fridge was open a crack. There are bottles in there I've never seen on the log." The power cut hit the alarm. When I asked for the key to the med drawer, Carol ran. Jenna felt Lily flinch at the name. Ethan's eyes hardened. "Where did she go?" "Rear staff exit," Mrs. Green said. "Security is checking the cameras. The gatehouse has rain on the lens. It's spotty." She paused, swallowed. "Sir, the bottle you read, it's in my mind now. I never signed for anything like that." Ethan nodded once, the kind of nod that piles decisions on a single point. "Call the guard captain. Lock the outer doors. Call the doctor to the house right now." He looked at Jenna. "And please keep Lily safe from any bright." "I will," Jenna said. She moved her body to shield the child from both beams and let the light roll soft over the far wall. Lily whispered a word so light it may have been breath. "Warm." Ethan drew a sharp breath and aimed his light higher so it bounced even softer. "That's right, sweetheart," he said gently. "Just warm." Footsteps pounded down the back hall. The radio on Mrs. Green's belt crackled. A tinny voice came through, strained. "Gatehouse to Main, employee badge used at rear exit 2 minutes ago. Rain made the outer camera a mess. We think staff member Carol took the service path. Driver saw a figure cut through the hedge. We're checking the street." Ethan stood in one smooth move. Lightning flashed far away, a white sheet that did not reach them. "If she took anything," he said, "we need to know. Mrs. Green, please check the med fridge again with me. Jenna, do not move. I'll be right back." They left. The room breathed. Jenna counted with Lily again in a quiet rhyme her mother used to hum when the world felt too loud. 4, 5, 6. The counting filled the dark with order. When the thunder rolled far off, it did not feel like a fist. It felt like a large animal walking away. Minutes later, the overhead lights flickered and hummed back to life in a low wave. The house generator had found its feet. The emergency beeps cut off. The ceiling bulbs bloomed slowly, dim at first, soft enough for Lily. Jenna whispered, "See, the room is waking up," and the child lifted her chin toward the ceiling's pale glow. Ethan returned with 2 small bottles in his hand and a folder tucked under his arm. Mrs. Green followed with her jaw set like stone. Ethan kept his voice even. "We found this," he said to Jenna, showing the labels. "Atropine. Daily. Dr. Collins. And a second, cyclo, something." He squinted. "Cyclopentolate. Also a pupil dilator." He held up the folder. "There are logs, but the notes are thin. I've called the doctor. He's on his way." Jenna felt heat climb her neck. She kept her words steady and as simple as she could. "Those drugs make eyes stay wide," she said. "That makes light feel mean. If someone gave them to her every day, bright rooms would be painful. A child would learn to want shade. A child would look away." Ethan's mouth tightened. "Why would anyone do that?" Jenna shook her head. "I don't know. I'm not a nurse. I only know what I saw." Something unreadable moved behind his eyes, a mix of anger and guilt. He looked at Lily, whose gaze hovered near the softest light like a moth near a safe candle. He spoke near a whisper, a man talking to himself as much as anyone. "My girl has been living in shadow because I trusted the wrong people." The radio on Mrs. Green's belt crackled again. "Gatehouse. Update. City patrol car saw a woman run 3 houses down. She dropped a bag. We recovered files and 2 brown bottles. She slipped into a rideshare and was gone before we could block the lane. We got the plate." Ethan closed his eyes once, opened them, and the business part of his face clicked into place. "Hold the items," he said. "Don't open anything. We're not guessing anymore." 20 minutes later, the front door opened and a man in a gray coat stepped in with rain on his shoulders and a briefcase in his fist. Dr. Collins looked tired in the way that comes from years of telling people hard news. He moved through the house like he had built it himself, nodding at staff he knew. When he entered the sunroom, his eyes went first to the child, then to the lamp, then to the bottles on the table. "What happened?" he asked, voice flat. Ethan didn't offer him a chair. "We tested a soft light on the far wall," he said. Jenna observed Lily tracking the glow with her eyes. "I watched it myself." Mrs. Green watched. Then the room alarm went off. "We found daily dilating drops in the med fridge labeled for my daughter." "Did you prescribe these?" Dr. Collins lifted the bottles, adjusted his glasses, and read the small print. "Atropine 1%, he said. Cyclopentolate 1%. Yes. I approved a short course a year ago for a specific exam. Not daily. Not long-term. Not this." He looked up, frown writing new lines on his face. "Where is the nurse?" "Gone," Ethan said. Dr. Collins did not bother to hide his shock. He set the bottles down gently as if they were live coals. "Show me your test," he said, turning to Jenna. "How did you do it?" Jenna didn't feel small anymore. She told him exactly how she had aimed the light, how she had used a scarf to soften it, how she had spoken to the child with words that said, "safe," how Lily had followed left and right with her eyes, not just her head, and how her pupils had changed as if they were doing their own work. She handed him the little recorder. He clicked it on, listened to her voice narrate the steps, and watched Lily in that same soft glow as Jenna repeated the test under his instruction. He crouched to the child's level and changed the angle of the beam in a way that would look like nothing to most people but meant 1,000 things to a doctor. He used a penlight against his own palm to judge reflection before letting even the softest bit touch the wall. He breathed out through his nose like a man who had been holding air for too long. "This does not look like total blindness," he said finally, words careful. "This looks like low vision, maybe cortical, maybe retinal function in patches. The drops would have made it far worse. Even a non-damaging light would feel like a slap if her pupils could never narrow. Whoever gave this daily did not understand what they were doing. Or they understood it too well." Ethan stood very still. "Fix it," he said. It was not a roar. It was a sentence spoken from somewhere under a mountain. "That we can stop the drops," Dr. Collins said. "Right now. We can let her eyes rest. Then we can test in a controlled clinic with gentle instruments. We can solicit a second opinion from a low-vision specialist. We can begin training, contrast, motion, light. We can build her world carefully." But, he looked at Lily, at her small hands that had learned to live like shields. "We must go slow. She has been taught the world is too bright. We need to teach her that light can be kind." Ethan nodded once. "Do it. Whatever it takes." That night stretched long and soft. The generator hummed until the city grid came back alive. Security brought the bag that had been dropped outside. Inside, they found photocopies of logs, a small cash envelope, and a list of contact numbers. One number matched a phone saved in the house system as H. Price, Family Council. The name attached belonged to the lawyer who had overseen the estate since Ethan's father ran the company. The envelope contained bills and a note, for routine assistance. Keep rooms dim. No improvising. There was no signature, but the printed header at the top of the note matched a stationery style the house received each holiday with printed greetings from the firm. Ethan read the note twice, very slowly, and something quiet inside him seemed to break. He picked up his phone and made 2 calls. One to the police, one to a new firm he had used only for acquisitions and never for family matters. He did not raise his voice. He did not argue. He gave dates and times and asked for audits. Then he set the phone down like he was setting a small boat loose in a fast river. By morning the storm had moved on. The bay shone like a piece of polished steel under a clean sky. The house felt different. Staff walked like they were learning a new floor. The sunroom curtains, always at half, were drawn back just a hair more than usual. Not enough to hurt. Enough to say change had begun. The days that followed were a kind of gentle revolution. The daily drops ended. Dr. Collins returned with a second doctor from the city's low-vision clinic, a woman with kind eyes named Dr. Shaw. She did not carry a briefcase. She carried a box with scarves of different shades, a set of high-contrast cards, a soft wand that glowed like a sleepy firefly, and black sunglasses sized for a child. "We will make light friendly," she said in simple words, kneeling so she was level with Lily. No rush. No race. Jenna stayed for every session. She fetched towels to block glare. She warmed the scarf in her hands before draping it near the lamp. She placed a small white ball where the sun pooled on the rug each afternoon. When Lily's eyes followed that ball even a little, Jenna had to look away to keep her joy from spilling out of her face. She kept the little recorder in her pocket and spoke notes into it each night so there would be a map of progress no one could erase. The first big change came on a Thursday when the sea was quiet and the sky was the clear kind of blue a child might draw with one crayon. Jenna placed a dark card next to a white card and set them on the floor in the same soft place where Lily liked to sit. "Which one is brighter?" she asked in a voice that made the choice sound like a game. Lily hovered. Her fingers flexed. Slowly, like someone remembering the steps in a dance, she tapped the white card. Jenna clapped once and bit her lip to keep the sound from flying out too loud. Lily smiled. It was small, but it reached her eyes. The second big change came when the house gardener stopped by the sunroom door with a single stem clipped from the hedge. It was a small rose, pale and gentle. He held it half in, half out, not wanting to disturb. "For the little lady," he said softly. Jenna took it and asked if she could set it on the table by the scarf-lit lamp. The flower sat there like a tiny sun. Lily turned her face toward it and breathed in. "Sweet," she said. It was only one word. It felt like a sunrise. On Friday, Ethan stood in the doorway and watched without speaking for almost an hour. He did not bring his phone. Near the end, he stepped forward and knelt like he had the night of the storm. "Lily," he said, voice careful, like he was setting down a glass on a thin table. "It's still Dad." The little girl turned her face toward the sound, something she had done for years. Then she did something new. Her eyes, gray and steady, moved to the shape of his head, then the line of his shoulders, then the shadow of his hand. She lifted her small palm and touched his chin with a light, sure press. She smiled with her mouth closed, cheeks lifting. Ethan made a sound that was not a word. He blinked fast and then stopped trying to blink anything away. He laughed once, short and surprised. "There you are," he whispered. "There you are, my brave girl." News moved in the city the way it always does, quiet at first, then louder. An arrest warrant was issued for the nurse. The lawyer resigned for health reasons on a Monday morning and was later seen walking into a building with a set of people who ask long questions in small rooms. There were headlines that used too many hard words. Ethan ignored all of them and sat on the floor of the sunroom with his daughter and a set of cards while Dr. Shaw taught him how to move the light across the wall in a way that was safe. "Slower," she would say, and he would make his hand move like the tide. On the second Saturday after the storm, Dr. Shaw said they were ready to try something that had lived only in Jenna's hope: faces. Not a bright photo. Not a mirror's sudden lash. Just a face in soft light, near and kind. "We'll sit in the garden room at dusk," she said. "We'll wear hats to drop the light down a little. We'll make the world a watercolor." They prepared like it was a holiday. The gardener swept the tiles. Mrs. Green arranged the curtains so the last of the day slid in like honey. Jenna took the little flower lamp out not to use but to sit nearby like a mascot for one battles. Dr. Shaw brought a brimmed sun hat for Lily and a second for Ethan. When the sky went peach and gray, they took their places, Jenna behind Lily, hands light on her shoulders, Ethan in front, hat low, eyes soft. Dr. Shaw to the side, ready to say enough at the first sign of strain. "Hi, Lily," Ethan said, and the sunset made his voice sound like warm wood. "It's Dad." Same voice. Same laugh. He laughed once, the small, shy kind of laugh he had not used in years. "I'm going to stay still. We'll just be here." Lily's breathing made a small lift and fall under Jenna's palms. The brim of the hat curled a gentle shadow over her eyes. A bird chirped in the hedge, simple and perfect. A plane far above wrote a slow line across the new blue. Lily lifted her chin a little. Her eyes moved like they had learned a new alphabet and were proud to spell a first word. They traced the line of a nose, the arch of brows, the edge where a face meets a hat. She paused. Her mouth made a perfect O of wonder. She reached forward and touched the air, then aimed a fraction left and touched the warm skin above Ethan's jaw. "Dad," she said. No one in the room breathed for a heartbeat. Then sound filled the space, the shaky laugh of a man who found shore after a long swim, the soft cry that leaks out of a housekeeper's chest when something broken mends, the quiet prayer sound Jenna made into her lip because her hands were too full of joy to hold anything else. Lily smiled wider. "Eyes," she said, tapping the soft spot where Ethan's hat cast the last light. "Your eyes." Ethan closed his own eyes and let 2 tears run the way rain runs down a clean window. When he opened them, they were the happiest eyes a person can have without breaking. "They're yours," he said gently. "They're your eyes too. You have your mom's eyes." A name rose in his mouth and stopped there. For the first time, he spoke of Lily's mother in a room that wasn't a tomb. "Her name was Anna," he said softly, like he was introducing an old friend. "She would have loved this room. She would have loved that hat." He laughed again and shook his head. "She would have told me to stop crying and start learning how to hold the lamp without making a mess." They sat a long time like that. No big moves, no sharp edges, just a father and a daughter with hats and a dusk that felt like a letter arriving after years lost in the mail. Jenna let the joy move through her like warm water. She found the silver ring under her shirt and pressed it once, the way she had in the dark. "Thank you," she said in her mind to a tiny voice she had once held. "We made light friendly for someone else." The next weeks built a new life in small bricks. The sunroom became a workshop for gentle miracles. Jenna and Dr. Shaw made a game of morning light and afternoon light. They showed Lily how a shadow makes a shape honest. They taught her the way a window turns a square of floor into a picture frame, and how you can put a toy in that frame and watch it grow bright like it is on stage. Lily learned to point to the bright and then the not bright. She learned to walk toward the safe glow with her chin high but relaxed. She learned the sky has different kinds of blue and that the sea is never really gray, it's silver pretending. Ethan rearranged his work hours. Meetings moved. Calls happened somewhere else. People who were used to yes on first ring learned to wait. He read the binder with the old rules and wrote a new one with Dr. Shaw. "We will make slow changes. We will be kind. We will use light like a friend." In a quiet moment after a session, Jenna stood by the door and watched father and daughter build a small tower of white and dark blocks. Lily placed a block on top with care and looked up, not past the shape but at it. She grinned like someone seeing a joke land. Ethan made a face, crossed his eyes in a way that made him look silly, and Lily giggled, an honest, round sound that filled the room and rang down the hall. Staff stopped and smiled. The house, which had always felt like a museum of grief, learned how to sound like a home. Formal matters resolved themselves with the slow grind of law. The police found Carol 2 towns away with a suitcase and 3 more bottles. She said she had been following doctor's orders. Dr. Collins showed his 1-year-old order for a 1-day exam and records that ended there. He sat with Ethan and apologized without protecting himself. "I should have checked the fridge," he said. "I should have audited the log." He offered to step back. Ethan refused the drama and asked him to stay on a short leash under Dr. Shaw's plan. The old lawyer, Mr. Price, yielded his role to a new team. Papers were handed over. Calls were made. There was talk of financial incentives and misinterpretation of instructions. There were 1,000 little phrases that big people use when they don't want to say the one right word. Underneath all of it moved a simple thing that could not be argued with. A child followed a light across a wall and smiled. One late morning, the housekeeper found Jenna in the kitchen, filling small bowls with sliced fruit for snack time. Mrs. Green leaned on the counter and watched her for a breath. Her voice was rough when she finally spoke. "I've been here since his father ran this place," she said. "I've seen men get bigger and smaller, and most of them get loud when they're wrong." "You didn't?" He got quiet and changed the room. She paused, then looked at Jenna with something like pride tucked under her worry. "You changed the room first." "Thank you." Jenna shook her head. "Lily did the hard work. she said simply. We just moved the lamp. On a clear Sunday, the house tried something brave. The gardener opened the glass doors of the garden room, and the air came in soft. Jenna carried Lily's hat. Ethan carried a little portable shade that made everything under it a gentle dusk. They sat outside for 5 minutes, no more, and let the world be big in a small way. A butterfly did what butterflies do and flew clumsy beautiful across the hedge. It wasn't brave. It was just living. Lily tracked it left, then right again when it changed its mind like butterflies always do. She clapped her hands once, the sound small and perfect in the warm air. That's my girl, Ethan said. He leaned back, took a breath that reached all the way down, and let the sun find his cheek without fear. He looked at Jenna. For the first time since she had stepped into the house, his gratitude did not sound like a formal line from a business speech. It sounded like a simple truth. Thank you, he said. I was walking in the dark. You told me to turn and look. Jenna smiled and said the only thing that fit. Light is meant to be shared. That evening, they hung the little flower lamp on a hook by the window, not to hide it, not to worship it, but to let it live where it had always belonged, beside the real light that came and went with weather and time. The lamp had started as a secret and a risk. Now it was a tool with a schedule and a set of gentle rules that even the youngest person in the house could say out loud. That in the quiet that followed, Jenna went to her small room behind the laundry and sat on her bed. She took the silver ring from its chain and held it in her palm. She thought of a hospital room 5 years ago, of a small mouth that had never learned the word eyes, of a goodbye that had cracked the world. She thought of how light had looked too bright for a long time after that. She pressed the ring to her lips and spoke in a whisper that was not sad for the first time in years. We did it, she said. We made light friendly. The house at the top of the hill, which had once felt like a statue with a heartbeat, slept easy that night. In the garden room, a little girl dreamed without drops, and the moon drew white squares on the floor that looked like open doors. In the hall, a father paused by those squares and stood in one for a long minute as if to say, I'm walking through. Weeks later, the first family photo in years was taken in that same room. No flash, no hard shadows. Just dusk and a soft lamp and 3 faces close together. Lily sat between Jenna and Ethan, hats brimmed low, and held the pale rose the gardener had brought on the second day. She touched the petals and whispered, sweet, and the camera caught the exact second those gray eyes met the lens like it was a friend. When the photo was printed and framed, Ethan set it on a shelf not far from the old pictures, the ones with deals and contracts and cold smiles. He moved a trophy to make space. He turned to Jenna and asked, almost shy, would you stay on? Not only as staff, as part of her world. You see what I miss. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth. Thank you for being here. Where are you watching from? Tell me in the comments so I can shout you out in the next episode. What was the bravest moment in this story? Turning on the light, telling the truth, or trusting it?